Hi there, Madeleine from JetsDev. In this video, I just want to share some personal opinion about how to choose certain versions of components for the next project that you would work on, especially in the world of PHP, and how to choose what framework, what packages, and what other services to use. The objective is that if you are alone or you are a small team, you want to limit the time and money spent for the long-term maintenance and updates. Because when you're doing a project, we are not all so lucky to work on a big SaaS project for the next 10 years and we can play around with the latest technologies all the time. It is true, when we are working on a new project, we would pick almost the latest version, or preferable the latest version, but we need to be very, very sure that the moment that we deliver, the components that are bundling that project, they need to be available for us with at least security updates and critical bug fixes for a good amount of years, because the majority of us, until our great SaaS project is going to produce the real money for us, we still need to work on contract, and we are getting projects, and not all, but I assume that the majority, we are also hosting and maintaining probably the next 4 years, 6 years, the project for the client. And this means that those are projects that go from a few thousand to, I don't know, but they are not multi-million level projects. So each money coming month by month or per year, it's money that allows us to continue our work and reach some point. So the idea for these kind of projects, or the common project that the majority of us have to develop, I don't agree that using a technology which changes a lot, which is very fast on innovation, is suitable, especially in the PHP world, where this is very similar to Node.js, the JavaScript world, is a total chaos from some communities. My point of view. I know that some will disagree, but this is my point of view. When you're picking like what current version of PHP, I know that you are heavily dependent on the framework that you use. And the majority for developing something really quickly, I know that we are using an MVC framework, mostly Laravel, probably Symfony, and rarely going to Cake PHP or the continuation of Zen frameworks, Laminas. And if you're picking the latest, of course, you're going to have to use latest of, or in some cases, the previous version of PHP, minor version, I say, like this. So probably if you're going to start a project, you're going to have to use 8.1 or 8.2 if you're lucky. But let's say that you just start with Laravel today. We're going to start with Laravel. And I have here the support policy, which I'm just trying to focus on releases. And today, because this yet is not released 10, we are going to start with 9. Or you can start with 10 because maybe you're going to release live the project maybe somewhere in April or May this year. So it is safe to start with 10. Now this grants you, looking at the date of expiration for security fixes, so I guess that it's going to be released in February. So it should be already released. We are already on 10. sorry. We are already on 10, but it has not yet been released. I assume that in a few days it's going to be released. So you have 3 years of security updates. This means that you need to combine a distribution that supports a Linux distribution that supports 8.1 or 8.2, and you are safe until 2025. So if you're going to think of, okay, the client wants me to provide support maybe until 2026, 2027, what do I do? Well, this is going to be problematic, and this is why I'm going to show you other frameworks and their support policy, which I find it a little bit more flexible. This is really good because this timeline of 3 years is really good if you start your project today with version 10, because if you have a short project where your maintenance contract is going to be very short, it's good. Laravel is a very easy to pick framework. I have been using it for many years now. I learned a lot, and I have to appreciate all the knowledge that came from its community, and especially from Laracast, Jeffrey Way. I learned a lot, and I evolved as a developer because of it. But what they changed with the long-term support policy, I simply don't know if it's, I mean, yeah, it's not very different, but I don't find 3 years enough for the majority of people. I find it really good for businesses that have one ongoing long project, a SaaS project or something like that. So it's really good for them, but it's not good for the 99% of us. Because if I'm signing up with a contract with I don't know, a local clinic or something like that, because a lot of us, we are doing contract-based projects, some locally, some contracting remote, but a lot of us, this involves also long-term support for them. And when a project is done well, the client is not every month all over you with a lot of money to add new features. The majority of projects, they go to dust in a way, but still they need security updates. So if I have a project and I need to keep it for like 6 years, 7 years, Laravel is out of the question, because I'll need to go back on that project and try to refactor and upgrade it to a more new version. And it's not about only upgrading Laravel, but it's going to be also the new PHP. This means probably reinstalling it on a new distribution, and it's not helpful. It is helpful when you go through with all services coming from Laravel, probably with their server deployments and stuff like that. But anyway, in any way you would handle this means time and money. And when you're doing a project every 2 or 3 months, which adds to your pocket also maintenance money, right? You're receiving money for maintenance, for hosting it, for keeping it live for the next 6 years, 8 years. The majority go to dust, and you are not going to spend time on them, which I don't find them really good for only 3 years. If it would be 5 years, I would say that it's much, much better. 7, 8 years, even better. So considering this, if you're going to look on the most popular Linux distribution, you're going to see that actually on currently still supported version of Ubuntu, meaning 18.04, one of the long-term support Bionic version, you can still see that they even provide PHP 7.2. And there is a thing about some of the Linux distributions. They do provide security patches backported from upstream if the version into it is affected. So Canonical, and not only Canonical, but the people from Debian, volunteers in the Debian community, they are patching, they are backporting patches from more recent PHP versions and fix the security issues. So if you're using Ubuntu Bionic, you still have 1 year for free with a PHP 7.2 totally secure, which is good. Because if you started in 2018 the project, you didn't have the hassle of upgrade, and at some point after you have like 50 projects still on contract in your little company with your team, you can't stay at that point all day only on upgrades. You want to do more new contracts, or maybe you have started your own SaaS business or something like that. So if you still need to maintain most of the projects for the next 4 or 5 years, you're in a big problem, because Laravel back then, from when it was, let's say that it was on 6, is kind of like out of the question. You really need to push towards towards at least version 9 today, or prepare for version 10. And going through like 50 projects is not doable. This is why for new projects, especially on PHP, I prefer to look on Symfony or Cake PHP, or and please don't laugh, but I truly think that it is a great candidate, even CodeIgniter, or Lamina's MVC. Because in the end, if you fully understand most of the concepts in an MVC framework, there aren't huge differences. For small projects, it's bouncing between these frameworks is very easy. So let's look at Laravel's release policy. Very similar to Laravel, you've got they provide patches, which is the third number, minors, and the majors. They release every 2 years. Very similar. Well, actually not similar. They release every 2 years, while Laravel releases every year. They provide a new major release every 2 years. Every 6 months they provide a new minor. And once the last minor comes into a major, then the surprise is that is the moment that it's becoming long-term support, and you've got security fixes for like 4 years. And if we look at the history of releases, you've got an average of 5 years with Symfony. That's a big difference between Laravel and Symfony. 5 years is really nice. It's already convincing me that if I have a more complex project that will need queues, messages, and all the goodies that don't exist into much more lighter frameworks, then Symfony is number one to pick. Because if I'm starting today with 6.2, I'll have around 4.5 years. Now, another candidate, Cake PHP, a framework much older than Laravel. This has not evolved as fast as Laravel, but they do not expose exactly the dates that they would do releases. They don't release so often, and they don't change their mind so often. So probably Cake PHP 5 is still not very close to be released. This could be investigated by looking at GitHub's going GitHub and trying to look on. They have a 5 in progress. So considering like version 4 has been for so many years with us, starting something new on 5, I don't know, but starting something on 4, I think because 3, it's still maintained and still brings critical bug fixes and security fixes. Starting today on 4, you are safe for the next like 5 years at least. And if you have the guts of investigating if 5 is already good to start a project because it's going to become stable anytime soon, I think you're good to go for maybe 7 to more years. Okay. Then I said CodeIgniter, which seems that is the lightest candidate for MVC frameworks in the PHP world, that if you're going to investigate the commits, the commits from the past like 1 year, you're going to see that CodeIgniter is not focused on adding any more stuff, because if you want to add, then you're better going directly with Laravel, probably with Symfony. But if you want to develop something quickly, light, sorry, that you're going to be safe for the next 5 years, put a bet on CodeIgniter, because this is one of those frameworks that gets constantly refactored to be compliant and work with the latest PHP. Still, CodeIgniter, it still provides support for even older PHP. And not to forget about Laminas, that was at version 2, it was named Zen Framework. This is one framework that you can trust for up to like 10 years. Probably for version 3, we can trust to be with us at least 2030. So this is another framework that if you have a medium project, it's really good to start. So to recap, I would say stick with Laravel if your projects require short-term maintenance, or you are actively working on a project. You don't have to work on many projects, and you have like 1 or 2 active projects for the many years to come. Yes, this probably is the best framework to start with because it's the most friendliest one. If you want reliable terms, time spans where you know when versions will change and how much time you have security and critical bug fixes, then go with Symfony. If you want something which truly is not really changing, it's to use something that is coming from a community that doesn't really changes things, but you want to have a lot of things into it that the modern frameworks like Laravel and Symfony have, you go with Cake PHP. And if you have something really small, like you are building a very basic API or a basic CRUD application for a small shop, a small lab, I don't know, something like that, then take a peek at CodeIgniter, because if you're building a small API for them or a very small CRM system, and if it has success and the client says, we want another technology, but usually the client asks you, give me a solution, give me a project that I can see and it's working. And they are not going to come to you. So the dental shop here is not going to come to you and tell you, build me a web application in Laravel. No, they are going to tell you, I need a CRM system that has the following requirements. So you can build it with this, and for the next 5-6 years, you can provide maintenance, security updates, and make the client happy. And make your life happy because you're going to have least time spent on doing that. And if you are more towards like enterprise clients, go and look on Laminas. But to go back a little bit, picking the right Linux distribution is important, because a distribution like Ubuntu or Red Hat can come with 10 years of support. So let's say that you inherit or you have done, and this is WordPress, guys. Let's say that you have done a WordPress website back in, let's see, where we go. You did a website back in 2014. WordPress on version 4 runs incredibly well on PHP 7.2 and still works with PHP 7.4. I would not trust it on PHP 8. But look, WordPress version 4 released on September 4th, 2014. Go up. Oh my god, the version 4.0 minor got security and whatever other critical bug fixes up to very, very recent November 30th, 2022. That's incredible. And because we know that there are now breaking changes, I could even stick to 4.9. This is one of the projects which a lot of people are bashing into it, but let me tell you something. When you see that even version 3 offers still support, long-term support, and look when it was released. So it has over 10 years. 10 years. So it has over 12 years since it's still, this version, this major version is still supported. This is the kind of software that you should really think about when you want to have peace, when you have a contract also to host it and maintain it. Because on the other side, there are Linux distributions like Ubuntu or like Rocky Linux or Alma Linux, which are based on Red Hat, where from free up to a few dollars per year, you can have up to 10 years of support, meaning that you can still run this, or I would look into this. So probably Ubuntu 20.04 is the best one for keeping up some old projects. And today, if I start, I would start with Jammy, starting on PHP 8.1, and in a few years, like 2 years from now, for free or for a few dollars per year, I can have another 5 years of rest, of peace, that I can still keep it. I just need to provide the security patches as well for the project. And if I picked up the wrong framework, I'm screwed up. Because even with Symfony, today I am screwed up, but because I don't see a future where we just back and add things. At some point, almost all these frameworks will change their mind because we have lots of things in them. It's time for refactoring. Probably this fast changing to especially majors is going to stop, and we are going to see a framework like Symfony promising 10 years of long-term support, and I think this is probably going to happen in the next 3 years. And we are going to see even Laravel being forced into saying like, okay, we are going to provide like 5 years or 7 years of long-term support, probably starting from version 11 or 12, because at some point they need to refactor. Laravel needs to will follow up eventually the same roadmap that Symfony did, and which Symfony back on version, I think, 3 is what it is Laravel today, a fat framework which its components, they are very heavily dependent between them, and it's going to become much more lighter because people running on more modern platforms like serverless will complain that Laravel eats up too much RAM versus Symfony. You know, there is some op caching mechanism there, that PHP has some way of handling some stuff, and Laravel is becoming bigger and bigger, and you don't want in memory that code compiled that you're not using, and at some point Laravel will need to split into multiple separate things that, like Symfony using Flex, you build up the actual full framework that you are going to use. Or on the other side, these projects like Cake PHP and CodeIgniter will become even much more interesting, because you're going to have even much more longer time to upgrade to them. And I want to repeat, I really love how much long-term support WordPress offers for their product compared to the others. I mean, 12 years, guys, 12 years. Definitely we are going to see 4.9 for at least, I don't know, 10 years now. And if you're switching to Gutenberg, we are going to see 6 for the next probably 15 years. Okay, because I want to repeat what I was saying from the beginning. We are not all working on we are not all lucky to work on something that allows us to play all day. So we can't toy, we can't play. The clients expect us to be professional, and if we sign a contract and they pay us, we need to have our tools, our things that we are using, they need to support us the same way that we must support our clients. So on the next project that you're starting, think really carefully. Can I play around? Can I just need to do something, and in the next 2 years I can ditch it? Yes, go ahead, pick Laravel, it's great. Do I need to create something complex and I need more time to be supported? Pick Symfony. Do I want to just provide a small service and I want to know that way more than 5 years is going to help me out? Pick something like CodeIgniter or Cake PHP. And don't laugh about WordPress, because it is one of the few projects that truly offers long-term support compared to many other PHP projects. Thank you.